to produce toxic proteins. They're called spike proteins. Human cells don't produce spike proteins. Okay? That's not something that we're supposed to be producing. Only infected cells do that, right? When these spike proteins from the coronaviruses are in our system and get thrown off by those cells that are infected by the coronavirus, that activates or it irritates our immune system, and our immune system attacks those proteins and starts to destroy them. Well, are you seeing a pattern here? Seeing where this could possibly go wrong? This is, this is either somebody designed this or somebody wasn't thinking. One of the two. Okay. Making the body produce a toxic protein on a cellular level is a ticking time bomb. Okay. Those cells are producing a toxic protein that's going to trigger the immune system to attack it at some point. Here she comes again. When she's got to beat the storm. Here she comes again.
As you continue to eat the food that's causing the problem, your situation doesn't get any better, or it gets worse over time. It sounds like, child's play, and it is to a naturopathic doctor, but medical doctors are completely clueless about all of these distinctions. So we need to provide the body with all of the nutrients that it needs to function properly. And one of the things that the body needs to do is detoxify things, and that happens in the liver. The liver does a lot of remarkable things. And by the way, the liver is the only organ in the human body that can regenerate itself. It's remarkable. You can surgically remove, I think, 70% of it. It'll grow back. It's the only organ that does that. It's very important to the proper function of the human body. And by the way, the liver is the negative pole of the battery of the body, the brain being the positive pole. So one of the things you can do to increase your cognitive function and keep your brain healthy is keep your liver healthy. That's interesting. Nobody talks about that. I talk about it. That's why people should listen to me. This information is not available in the mainstream, and more's the pity. But I digress. So the liver, in its detoxification process, one of the things that the liver does, it's a nutrient-dependent phenomenon, right? There's phase 1 detox and phase 2 detox, and they both need nutrients to work. If you don't have these nutrients, if they're not present in the body because you didn't supplement with them, because they're not in your food, and you go on a detox program, like you do a water fast, or you do some type of a detoxification program that involves colon hydrotherapy and saunas and whatever it is, you're actually attempting to drive the body to detoxify itself. Well, if your liver isn't nutrified, it's like stirring up a hornet's nest, because you're going to liberate the toxins, which the vast majority of toxins that enter the human body, chemicals and automobile exhaust and all of the stuff that we're exposed to, are fat soluble. So the body sticks those things into fatty tissue. And then you go a detox program, you burn fat. Go on an aggressive weight loss program, an aggressive exercise program, you burn fat. Guess what? Those toxins are now in the general circulation. They go through the liver. The liver is supposed to neutralize them. But if the liver doesn't have the nutrients necessary to do that, oops, they're going to slip through. And that's not good. I had a friend years ago. This was before I knew any of this. I think I was in pre-med at the time. He was a born-again Christian, very devout. And for some reason, he got it into his head that he was going to do a 40-day water fast like Jesus. So he did. He went into the woods, I think in the Pacific Northwest near Seattle, the Olympic Peninsula, for 40 days. Didn't eat anything, just drank water. 2 months later, he got leukemia, and within a couple of years, he was dead. Now, I think that there was a one-to-one correspondence between his aggressively fasting, inappropriately fasting, and the development of the condition, because he liberated all of these toxins, and his liver didn't have the nutrient capacity to do its job and neutralize them. And that's a problem. So one of the tenets in my office is first we nutrify and then we detoxify. And there's lots of ways you can facilitate this process, right? We can facilitate the burning of fat to liberate chemicals and nasty things that have found their way into the body and lodged themselves into fatty tissue. We can also do directed cleanses of the colon, because the colon, because of the Western diet, is a seat of illness in a lot of people. You know, the function of the colon, which is the large intestine, is to remove waste product from the body. The stomach digests it, the small intestine absorbs it, and what is not needed passes into the colon, and that's the exit strategy for the human body. This stuff we don't need, let's get rid of it. If your transit time is slowed down, you know, if you're constipated, if you have a bowel movement every 3 days or every 4 days or every 5 days or every 6 days or once a week, heaven forbid, then the transit time is slowed way down. And so the stuff that the body is trying to get rid of is going to stay inside the body, and it's going to leach back in through the soft tissue and get back into the bloodstream. And that's not good. I mean, it's like the sewer backing up in your house. It's not good. So one of the things that naturopathic doctors are trained to focus on is helping the colon to work properly and to have the transit time be proper. And a healthy transit time is about 36 hours in a human being. You can tell what your transit time is by eating swallowing a tablespoon of frozen corn kernels. Swallow a tablespoon. Don't chew them. Just swallow them, wash them down with water, set the timer, and see how long it takes for them to come out. If it's longer than 36 hours, you need help. No kidding. So we promote the healthy function of the large intestine, the colon. There's a lot of ways to do that. We do it with probiotics. We do it with prebiotics. We do it with digestive enzymes. We do it with bentonite clay. We do it with colon hydrotherapy. There are a lot of ways to skin that cat. There's also a lot of ways to help the liver. Because it does so many jobs in the human body, and it's one of the poles of the battery in the human body, and because it's the only organ in the body that can regenerate itself, well, it's probably a good idea to support and promote the optimal function of the liver, don't you think? Well, there are ways to do that. We can use botanical medicines like milk thistle. We can use beet juice. One of the most effective liver strengthening treatments is drink fresh squeezed beet juice for 21 days. Start with 2 ounces a day for 7 days, then 3 ounces a day for 7 days, then 4 ounces a day for 7 days. By the way, your urine and your stool will turn red. You'll think you're bleeding. You're not bleeding. It's the beet juice. That's a really good therapeutic that everybody should do once every couple of years in order to help the liver optimize its function. I mean, I saw one person, I forget the illness, forgive me, but it was a bad liver illness and supposed to be incurable. She was at the Harvard hospital. She's dying from this liver disease. Maybe I'll think of it in a minute. She saw a naturopathic doctor, went on board the liver support protocol, and within a week she was released from the hospital, and within a couple of months her liver function was normal. I love treating people with liver disease because it's one of the easiest things in the world to do, because the liver is very forgiving. And there's other things that you can do in order to help get the body rid of parasites. And it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but I'm here to tell you that if you are alive, you have parasites in your body. You just do. And it would be prudent for you once a year, once every 2 years maybe, to get on board with some type of a directed kill the parasite program. And there's very sophisticated laboratory work now that can tell you what parasites are in your body. I mean, it's very sophisticated, the stuff. They look for the genetic material of the parasites. It's fascinating what they can do now. It's fascinating. And so that's something that everybody should do. Get the parasites, go on an anti-parasite protocol. And that also is individualized, because you do the stool analysis, you find out what parasites you have, and this herb or this drug might be the best way to kill your parasite, whereas your brother's parasites, it might need a different herb or a different drug. It needs to be individualized like that. There are some things that you can do generically. Wormwood, black walnut, golden seal. These are all things that are effective historically, kind of as broad spectrum anti-parasitic things. But again, I wouldn't just willy-nilly do this. I would do this with either in a doctor's office who knows how to do this, or through sourcing information online from a reputable medical source who has clinical experience with it. And that's one of the things that I bring to the table. I've devoted the last 15 years of my life to public education. So on my website, drglidden.com, I have an enormous library of health recovery information. I have another section of the website called Medical Myth Busting, which talks about things like, hey, guess what? Cholesterol is really pretty good for you.